Well, hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Playful Subversions. And I am very excited to introduce to you our latest guest, Kat Becket. Kat, as I know her, or Catherine Becket, LCSW PhD, has provided psychotherapy with a specialization in supporting those experiencing grief, loss, and trauma since 1994 in a variety of settings, including community agencies, addiction treatment centers, hospitals, and both adult and pediatric hospice. Her doctoral research focused on training mental health providers to work effectively with grief, and she has designed and taught workshops and courses for professionals across the country. In addition to more mainstream counseling approaches, Kat's practice draws from her training as an end-of-life doula, and Reiki master practitioner, and as a psychedelic practitioner certified in ketamine-assisted psychotherapy. She was invited to help design and instruct the End of Life CAP course at Colorado's Psychedelic Research and Training Institute, and currently resides and maintains a private therapy practice in Portland, Oregon, where every combination of tears and laughter is welcome. Kat, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
What that awesome bio does not tell you, because it's a very full and serious bio, which is, I mean, not a surprise to me. I met Kat, wow, 30 plus years ago, at Smith, where we both went to grad school. And what is not in this bio, but is very important, is that Kat also has an interest in rappelling. And we're not going to talk about rappelling today, but I'm telling you this because I want everyone on the podcast to know that the first time I met Kat, she was rappelling out the second or third story window of the dormitory across the street from where I was staying at Smith. And I remember looking and seeing this person rappelling out the window and thinking, that's an odd duck. And I like odd ducks. And so it was wonderful to actually meet you then, and certainly you've done a lot of work since. I don't know if you still repel out windows, but
Generally not, although I could still set an anchor if a situation were to call for that.
mhm. So you're here today, not necessarily to talk about rock climbing or rappelling, but you're here today to talk with us about something else, which is comedy improv. And I'm going to just let you kind of introduce us to what your particular interests in comedy improv are, what kind you do.
Yeah. So I have been playing on a team with a group called Comedy Sports of Portland. Comedy Sports is actually a franchise that goes across the country. There are a number of locations in various cities, and we even have a few in Europe. Portland Comedy Sports was established in 1993. I moved to Portland in 2000 and took my first class with them in 2001, and by 2003 had been promoted to their professional team, and by 2004 was playing in the professional shows with them. So this is 22-ish years
Mm.
now, and really unexpected thing. I have been involved in theater all my life. If someone had said prior to 2000 you're going to do improv, I would have laughed at them and said, have you met me? uh, I like things to be scripted.
Mm.
Uh, much less anxiety, at least at that time for me. But I was looking for a way to do theater sustainably. Those of you who've been in full-on shows know it eats your life for 3 months.
Mhm.
And then the community that you build is scattered to the winds, never to reform in the
Mhm.
same way. I was working full time. I was getting married, becoming a mom, and saw really clearly scripted theater shows were not going to fit in my life. But I thought something like improv might be a more sustainable way for me to do theater. It has been, and it's also been, as I tell many of my psychotherapy students, some of the best training that I've had as a therapist in my entire career. And I can
Mm.
say more about that if you want to, but I
Yeah, please do.
that's there's the answer to the first question. What kind of improv we do? We are short form, team based improvisation troupe. I often say to people, "Have you seen Whose Line Is It Anyway?"
Hmm.
We do that,
Okay.
but not quite as well as those guys because they do it for their whole job and we all have day jobs.
Mhm.
Uh, and the other thing that sets comedy sports apart that I really am appreciating more and more and more is we are 100% clean, family friendly,
Mhm.
all age appropriate. We are never mean. We are never getting laughs at the expense of someone else. We
Mhm.
never punch down. And it's getting rarer and rarer, I think, to have things like this where you can bring three generations of a family and everyone will have a great time. Everyone will.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, no, that's actually we were talking before we went to recording that I've done some improv, and one of the things that I love and learned early on in improv is the focus is to give to the other person in the skit. It's never to get the laugh, it's to give it.
Is to
And
set
it,
up the pitch for someone else to knock it out of the park. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, and it's just it's great. I actually equate it. I'm going to kind of be a stereotypical white liberal Buddhist here, but it's equivalent to sort of Tonglen, that sort of Tibetan Buddhism, where it's you know giving away the parts that are good and sort of taking the next part. Um, and I also, you've mentioned a couple times now that you are based in Oregon, and so given the current climate, I have to ask you, are you okay?
Recently we hosted the Portland Marathon, and someone tongue in cheek posted a photo of some of the runners saying, "These must be the Antifa members running towards the battle." My response to that was to post my own comment that says, "No, I'm pretty sure these are Portlanders running to the store to stock up on kale and oat milk before the battle begins." We are not burning. Uh, the protest that has some knickers and a twist is about 10 people, mostly dressed in inflatable costumes,
Yeah.
standing very peacefully on a street corner. The only damage that has been done so far has been inflicted by people that are not needed here.
Yeah. So, and it's one of the things that I noticed when I heard some of the descriptions of these protesters, which included some people with fishing poles, with donuts and things like that, that there is an element of very quirky Portland comedy. So it sounds like Portland has a vibrant comedy sort of scene.
Portland prides itself on weirdness. I mean, the most popular bumper sticker you'll see around town is "Keep Portland Weird." And I think a lot of that weirdness is silly. Some of it's just weird. We're known for a guy called the Unipiper who just goes around town in a Darth Vader mask and a kilt, bagpiping with flames coming out of the bagpipes on a unicycle.
We need to get a picture of that. And we have
That's
to get
the
a picture of that and put it in post-production.
That's the Portland unicycler. Yeah. So like that kind of thing is popular. Yes. And the donuts on fishing poles is affectionately being called ice fishing.
Okay, so improv. Assuming that some of our audience are psychotherapists and social justice types who sometimes, love it or not, love them, I do love them, can be a little dire and may not have encountered improv comedy. Can you please explain to people what improvisational comedy is?
Great question. Okay, so an improv comedy show is a group of people who show up to perform, and we show up with absolutely zero idea what is going to happen in that show.
Hmm.
Short form means it's a series of short games and scenes,
Hmm.
all of which we are playing based on suggestions that we get from the audience right in that moment.
Hmm.
The Comedy Sports Portland troupe has about 60 to 70 regular players in it. We have shows every weekend, so we obviously don't, but every time I go, I'm playing with a different group, smaller group of people. I don't know until I get to the theater who I'm going to be on a team with. I
Hmm.
don't know which team I'm going to be on. I don't know which games we're going to play, and I very definitely don't know what the suggestions are going to be that we're going to base the games on. So it's all created in the moment. as a kind of a co-creation, not just from the people who are there as the players, but the audience as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes it's musical, and sometimes it's dramatic, and sometimes it's funny, but it is always made up on the spot.
Mhm. And how many people tend to be at these performances, both on stage and in the audience?
So at regular comedy sports match, we've got three red team players and three blue team players. We've got a ref who runs the show. We've got a sound person. We've got a head of house getting people in and out. And on the shows that are super fun, you can't do it for all of our shows, but we have a live keyboardist
Hmm.
who works with us to provide songs and music games. So that's the on the stage people, and then we've played for well, when we do remote shows, we've played for crowds of 500 or 600, depending on where we've been asked to come perform. Our own little theater, I think, seats a couple of hundred at most,
Mhm.
and we've also played shows where we outnumbered the audience members.
And and what's the biggest you've ever performed at?
I've been on lots of remotes in the years I've been doing it. I think we did a freshman orientation at one of the big Oregon universities. It was
Oh.
hundreds of people.
Mm.
We've gone and done shows for camps. So hundreds of kids, counselors, some family members. So sometimes the crowds on the remote shows are very big, and
Mhm.
mostly the arena is not that big. Our own theater is smallish.
Now, I am familiar with improv, but I'm not familiar with it in terms of a sport match. Can you explain how that works?
It's basically just a frame for the show. I mean, we don't, the improv could exist without the sport motif, but it's a fun motif. I mean, you've got to have essentially a moderator for the show who's getting the suggestions and timing the games and awarding the points. So let's make that person a ref.
Mm.
We've got teams competing for points. Let's make those a red and a blue team with silly names. When I first started playing, our stage was covered in AstroTurf. We had a penalty box. If a comedy sports player committed a foul, they were sent to the penalty box to apologize to the audience.
How do you
So
commit a foul?
there are two fouls
Okay.
primarily in comedy sports. The first is what we call the out of bounds foul, which is not minding the 100% clean, appropriate nature of
Uh,
the show.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
and and that foul can also be called on an audience member. So if they're giving suggestions that don't go
Hmm.
within the bounds of suitable for everyone, they can get called that foul on them as well. The second one is the groaner foul. We like our jokes to not punch people in the comedic soul. So if something's too punny, too dad jokey, elicits a groan from the audience, you might get the groaner foul called on you.
I see. That one seems, well, like, on the one hand, I think that could be pretty subjective, but there's also something universal, I guess, about groaners, so maybe not.
It's pretty remarkable. The audience will generally tell the ref when the groaner needs to be called.
Mm.
Like all the ref has to do is pay attention. And we do, I will say, often end with a game where the groaner foul is suspended. We have a few of what we call pun achievement games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So give me an example of a pun achievement game.
Um, Okay, so we have a game called Hey Waiter. All the players up on stage standing against the back wall. We invite an audience volunteer to come sit on the stool in front, and the ref will get a suggestion like cow,
Uh-huh.
and the job of the volunteer is to, as soon as a player comes up and stands beside them, say, "Hey waiter, there's a cow in my soup."
I
In
see.
which and then the player will respond in some way that is punny, like, "Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Let me get you an udder bowl."
Okay.
And
Okay.
players keep stepping up and offering new puns until looks like we've run out that suggestion, and then the ref will get a new suggestion.
Got it.
That's a
Okay.
pun achievement game, and for every pun uttered, that person's team gets a point.
Got it. And so can you give us an example of a good pun achievement that you've done?
Oh, good question. Let's see. Yes. So the suggestion was pie,
Okay.
and I actually was very proud because the usually this is the last game in the
Hmm.
match, and so the ref will wait for a really good one and then blow the whistle and end the match at the really good one.
Hmm.
So you know if you get the whistle blown that ends the match, you've done a good one, and this was one of those
Ooh.
that I was very proud of. So suggestion was pie. And I went up, and of course, the volunteer said, "Hey, waiter, there's pie in my soup." And I said, "Oh, sorry. Well, here's your bill. That'll be 3.1415926." Thankfully, the ref whistled at that point because those were all the digits that I knew.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I actually anticipated the minute you mentioned pi that I was like, Kat's gonna say something about not 22 over 7, but that decimal.
Well, and I was the only one that even did the mathematical pi. All the other puns had been PIE.
Uh-huh. So I could see why you won.
I at least closed the game. I
Yeah.
don't even remember if my team won or not because ultimately we don't care.
Hmm.
It's the idea is to give a good show, and it really honestly does not matter which team ends up getting more points.
Yes. Yes. So backing up a little bit. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to back up. I'm going to invite us to play. So because I knew the topic and because I knew you went, I anticipated that I could invite you to play a game. And so to show people on the podcast what improvisational comedy can be like, although we're doing it via Zoom, we're not on a stage. Kat, would you be willing to play a round of alphabet for me with me?
If I, yeah, I mean, yes. And tell me again, or tell me what you mean by the game of alphabet. So we're playing with the same rules.
I am going to do that. I'm going to do it cleverly disguised as explaining to
Okay.
people, and also giving you the opportunity to establish a parameter if you wish. So, folks, the game of alphabet is a very discrete game. It's a skip between, in this case, two people that has exactly 26 lines. And the lines have to start with the letter of the alphabet that we are at. So, for example, if Kat goes first, she would have to start her line with A. And when she's done, whatever line I need to do has to begin with B. And then to Kat with C, to D, to E, to F, till we get to Z. I'm seeing by nodding that you're familiar with this game, Kat, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I'm at my desk. I don't know where you are. Do you want to add any physical parameters or props or objects, or do you want it to be just verbal?
No, let's just do it verbally.
Okay. Should we flip for who gets to go first?
Sure. If you have something you can easily.
I just realized I don't have something to flip. Um, let's see. I'm gonna flip my Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance card. So,
Okay.
so do you want to do number or barcode?
I'll do barcode.
Okay, here we go. Barcode. You
Okay.
get to pick. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go second.
Oh God. All right. So. We're going to try to do this for real, folks. So we're not going to break character for the next 27 lines, 26 lines, which doesn't mean this is going to be scripted. This is absolutely not scripted. We have never played this game together before, you and I.
I didn't even know we were going to play this game.
Yes,
Great.
and I have not been preparing. All right, so just to review, we're about to do alphabet, starting with me, starting with A. Agnes, what did you do with the bowl of chili?
Bowl of chili? I didn't see a bowl of chili. I saw a bowl of peaches, though. I ate them all.
Come on. The bowl of chili was right next to the bowl of cheap peaches.
David, are you sure? You do tend to misplace your chili.
Er, I don't think I misplaced it. Are you sure that your chili didn't taste like peaches?
Fairly certain. I usually can tell the difference in consistency.
Good God, women. Are you sure that you haven't seen the bowl of chili?
Hell's bells, man. I think this is really about something else. What is the actual problem that you want to talk about with me, David?
I can't believe you're pulling this psychotherapist crap on me.
Just trying to open up a conversation. It's because I love you.
Killing me. You're killing me, Agnes. If you really loved me, you wouldn't be deflecting from this chili issue.
Sometimes love sometimes is about deflection. It's giving each partner room to maneuver so that no one's feelings are hurt.
Maneuver? Man, I just want to eat my chili.
No, you can't eat your chili. It's apparently gone.
Obviously, and I want to know why it's so hard for you to admit that you ate it rather than deflect with psychobabble and things about peaches.
Peaches are actually the love of my life.
Quiet. I know you're about to say something and I don't want to hear it. You can't take that back. I am devastated by that comment. Now I have no chili and I've been told that I am less than peaches in your estimation.
Put yourself in my shoes. I really just want there to be honesty between us. I do love you. I just love Peaches a little more.
Right, right. I suspect that there may have been an alphabetical error here. I'm not quite sure. But regardless, I am just feeling so angry and hungry right now. And tired, Agnes. I'm tired.
Soup. Soup is the answer, I think, here. Soup makes everyone feel better. It soothes hurt feelings. And if you're hungry, I really think soup is the answer. Potato cheddar?
If I had wanted soup, I would have made peach soup. But I didn't. I wanted chili. I wanted something substantial. Agnes, I continue to want something substantial in this relationship.
Unusually, I am in agreement with you. I think substantiality is the thing that both of us need to work towards.
Vicious, vicious. You do not see how vicious you are with your thievery, your peach obsession, and then offering soup. It's so tepid. It's such a tepid, tepid alternative to chili.
While you keep going on, I'm gonna put the potato cheddar soup on the stove. You go ahead. You just keep talking. I'm gonna stir the soup.
Xerxes wouldn't have been treated this way in his home. Xerxes was a king that had people respect him, that didn't take his chili and replace it with offerings of soup.
You, my darling, are not Xerxes.
Zealously shall I eat this soup and enjoy it too.
I think you got all the hard letters in
I
there.
did. You get this is the problem is you get X and Z. No one likes that. And I think we might have mixed Q and P up.
That's very possible.
I,
It
I
does it does happen. This is why at Comedy Sports we have a ref because when people blow
yeah,
it, the ref blows the whistle and the players rotate.
I
So
loved it. It just took me back to some childhood abuse. I was like, am I being gaslit? Is like, wait, what's this? What's the letter? Um, So for folks that are watching the podcast or listening, this is an example of something that gets co-created between two people in the moment, which may, be familiar to those of us who practice psychotherapy or psychoanalysis. But what was that like for you to play this game? When was the last time you played Alphabet?
Oh my gosh, a long time. And it's we mostly do it as a warm up as
Yep,
opposed to a game in the show.
yep,
But yeah, it's been a while. I think maybe even back to when I was taking classes.
yep.
But it's super fun. I love it.
It is fun, and I think you probably are more used to this or more adept at this because you do improv all the time. But I still feel inhibited and like I didn't just throw a word out and then try to make the sentence work.
Yes.
And I kind of got the sense you were doing that a little bit more.
Sometimes, and that is definitely a skill I have had to develop. I am a strong introvert, Myers-Briggs. My natural way of being is to think first and then speak.
Mhm.
And sometimes you can do that in improv, and a lot of times you can't. So that's been a push for me over the years.
Mm. How would you encourage people to think about honing that skill? Like, how does one sort of do a trust circle with words where you kind of lean into whatever?
Yeah, I mean thank you for introducing the word trust because I think that would be my biggest answer is if that's a skill people are wanting to try to develop. For me, at least, the most important component of that was finding really safe places to do it
Mm,
where, if what came out of my mouth was jumbled or terrible or wrong, in my view, wrong. It's in
mhm,
improv, supposedly there's no wrong thing, right? But I certainly often felt like that was dumb or that was wrong. And I needed to really come to trust the structure, the process in this particular group
mhm,
to just take whatever came out of my mouth and make hay with it.
mm.
And once that trust was there, it was an easier thing to do.
And how are you with a group that you've been together as a group for years and years?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Portland Comedy Sports was founded in '93.
Mhm,
Some of the founding players still play. There's a little bit of in and out in the community. Obviously, people move away, they retire, that we've lost some who have died, and new people are coming up through the training programs bit by bit to replace them. So there's a little bit of inflow, outflow, but the community, the basic community is incredibly stable over time, which is one of the things I appreciate the most about it. And that I think really then creates a culture of trust and support that as new people are coming in, that's the culture that they're learning and they're able to lean into.
mhm. Have there ever been people that had a hard time kind of being an improv sort of person?
I mean, the way comedy sports is structured, folks who really struggle don't tend to filter up to the pro team.
Hmm.
I mean, there's sort of a class series that people go through. Once they've gotten to a certain level, they can play on what's called the rec league,
Hmm.
which is kind of like, I mean, it used to be called the farm team. So that when there were, you're playing shows, but not in the kind of in the main theater. You're learning the games, you're learning the structure, and then as there are openings on the pro team, people are pulled up from the rec league to fill those. So it really effectively has screened out folks who either are really struggling or not ready, or who might not vibe with the culture that we like to maintain at the pro level.
Mm. So it's not something people apply for. It's kind of like you get a tap on the shoulder and
That's
hey,
right.
hey, buddy, come to the other theater.
That's right. That's right. So we actually just promoted 5 new people from
Mhm.
Rec League this last week up to the pro level. They came to their first workshop and it's always really exciting. But the nice thing about the way that this happens is that by the time people get up to the pro league, it's very clear who they are, what their skills are.
Mhm.
They are known. There's no unknown quantity that lands in this group. And I think as a result, we have had very few problems.
What skills does one need to have to do pro league improv?
I mean, I would say a really good set of basic improv skills. Everyone on the team has different specific skills. Some people are much more musically talented than others.
Hmm.
Some people are great at kind of using the physical space, doing mime and pantomime. Some people are great at guessing games. Some people are just really quick on their feet. The different games that we play require different skills. So we want to make sure we've got a good mix. But in general, everyone that is recruited up to the pro level is just a solid team member with really good improv skills.
Hmm. When did you get brought up to the pro team?
I took my first class in 2001.
Okay.
2000, I played on the farm team for a couple of years. 2003, I got tapped to come up. And then, usually you attend practice for a while before they schedule you to play in your first pro show. So, 2003 in the fall, I joined the pro practice, and early in 2004, started playing pro shows.
Hmm. And so you got invited, and what did that feel like to get the tap on the shoulder yourself?
Super exciting. I was certainly hoping for that and, willing to put in kind of whatever time the powers that be felt that I should put in at the rec league level.
Hmm.
But it was great.
Hmm. Now, we haven't talked about him, but Kat has a son, and has your son been to performances? I imagine has he played?
Yes. So Dylan was on the stage for about 7 months of my pregnancy. Um, in month number 7, and it's a very low stage. It's maybe a foot off the ground. And I did this move where I needed to, in the scene, exit a burning building. So I jumped off the stage, and my knees didn't support. I didn't hit the ground, but it was a serious knee buckle that
Yeah.
happened. And I was like, right, I guess I'm done playing now for the remainder of my pregnancy. So yes, Dylan grew up going to shows. We were asked to come do an event called Shakes in the Park. Our local Burgerville chain
Hmm.
did a big summer event where they were giving away milkshakes
Hmm.
from a Burgerville food truck in one of the big parks in Portland. And Comedy Sports was asked to come do an improvised Shakespeare show as
Hmm.
part of Shakes in the Park. And Dylan was, I think, 3 or 4 months old.
Hmm.
And I was like, great, come on, kid. So, went and played the show with Dylan in one arm.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, for a little while, I hope Dylan won't mind my telling the story. In, I think, late elementary school, Dylan was coming to shows, really loved giving suggestions, really loved volunteering. And of course, I mean, family members are sort of encouraged to tone it down, like give
Yeah.
other people a chance,
Yeah.
right? And that was so hard for Dylan that
Yeah.
Dylan eventually ended up getting temporarily banned
Right.
from
Right.
shows until there was a little more ability to manage that.
But
Yeah,
here's the golden opportunity to command your mom to do ridiculous things. I
that's right.
mean, what kiddo would not love that?
I know. I know. So yeah, Dylan's been around improv quite a lot and does it now at college.
Oh, he does. So when he comes home, does he join you? Well, I guess this segues into another question, which is your improvisational stuff confined to the competitive sport piece, or do you partake in other activities and workshops and
For me, it's the shows and the training, the ongoing practice. That's kind of as much of a commitment as I can sustain. Although I do, occasionally catch a class at Comedy Sports if there's something that I want to
Mhm.
get better at. And if Dylan wanted to, they could certainly join me for that as a community member. But that hasn't happened. Happened to happen. Dylan goes to the East Coast for school, so is only home a couple times a year at this point.
Right. I know they are actually less than half a mile away from my place in Cambridge. Oh, what was I going to ask you? I guess training. I mean, what does one do to train? How does one exercise?
Yeah, at least again, pro level in kind of below the pro level at comedy sports, it's learning basic improv skills.
Hmm.
It's yes and, it's how do you do gibberish? It's using the stage, the space, pantomiming. How do you um we often will coach people have relationships generally be positive. If there's a problem, be working on the problem together. Don't be just in conflict with each other. That's not as fun to watch.
Hmm.
Um, Things like that. At the pro level, it's really, people say, why do you practice improv? What does that even mean? And it actually is really important for us, especially as a team of 60 or 70 people. We have
Hmm.
weekly practices. Of course, no one comes to every practice, so you get a different mix of people at each one. But the owner gives announcements, catches us up on things, asks if there is help needed. Hey, we've got a remote out on the coast this weekend. We need two more people for it. Please go in and sign up if you're available. And then we have someone from our troupe say, I'll lead practice tonight. I want to practice our foreign accents,
Hmm.
or I want to teach a new format for a musical game,
Hmm.
or I feel like we're getting kind of sloppy in terms of being talking heads standing in a line in our
Yeah.
scenes. I want to practice bringing back movement and
Movement.
using them on
Yeah.
stage. That also gives us a chance to keep fresh on all the games. We have something like 200 games in our repertoire. We
Hmm.
all need to know how to play all of them,
Hmm.
and also to play with each other. Because again, I get to the theater, I don't know who's in my show on my team. I need to be comfortable with everybody, and they need to be comfortable with me. So practice is actually very important.
And when you say remote, how far do you travel, or can you travel for a match?
I mean, we've gone out of state before. It's really just a matter of is the hosting organization willing to cover those expenses? So
Got it.
there is a coast remote next weekend that is an overnight. The group is going out to do a late show, I think, for a camp of some sort. And so the folks who are hiring us to come out are paying for our travel time, our overnight stay, I think a dinner while the group is there, and then the show. So,
And
yeah.
is this sort of like getting gigs? Like, do people hire you to go out because it's entertainment for them?
Yes.
So it's
And
not
that can
like
be
visiting teams sort of thing.
no, though Comedy Sports does have a national tournament every year, where one of the cities with a Comedy Sports hosts and others send teams, and it's a week of shared workshops and then essentially a bracket of shows, which always ends with the hosting team winning, of course.
So does Boston have one of these?
Boston does have one. It's run by a fantastic improviser woman named Courtney Pong.
Okay.
I have not yet gotten to go play as a guest in Boston. It just hasn't worked with my travel schedule, but I'm
Yep.
hoping before Dylan graduates that I'll get to do that. I love playing as a guest in other cities.
Oh, well, that's great. And definitely keep me posted on when that is.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just thinking a little bit about, I guess one of the things that I wondered about when you were describing some of this was if patients have ever shown up at your performances and or have you ever invited patients to your performances and what was that like?
I don't invite patients simply because I don't want to put them in a position of awkwardness at having to either say yes or no to that and worrying about what the impact is going to be on me. Um, I occasionally do mention in sessions with people if there's like often I'll sort of bring in a skill that I have learned in improv, and
Mhm.
I'll say, "Hey, let me share this concept with you that I learned in improv." And then if they say, "Oh, do you do improv?" I'll briefly say, "Yeah, I play with comedy sports."
Mm.
But maintaining the focus on this is the skill that I think maybe might be useful to you. This is why I'm sharing this anecdote is hopefully that this will be of use to you. I certainly, in the 22 years that I've been playing and in practice in Portland, have occasionally had people come to comedy sports who were patients
Mhm.
who I didn't know they were coming to the show. They certainly did not expect me to be in the show. And that, at least so far, has always kind of been met with delight, surprise, and delight.
Mm.
And I don't, I mean, I follow my policy very strictly of if I see a client out in the wild,
Mhm.
which does happen, Portland's not a huge city,
Mhm.
um, I will, kind of acknowledge if they're meeting my eyes, say hello, and then completely let them decide how much of an interaction they want to have. I don't go, look, it's my patient.
Mhm.
I'm cautious about that. But more often than not, they come to the next session and say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you
Mhm.
did that. That was so fun. That was so funny." And that's great.
So, and what was that? What is that like? Can you recall what's like for you as a performer that suddenly you're about to do things that may be a combination of structure but also uninhibited, and there are people in the audience, and I imagine, the lighting is such that maybe you won't see certain things, but you kind of know. What does
Yeah.
that do to you?
I actually feel really thankful at how generally, I mean, first of all, again, 100% clean, family
Right,
friendly, like,
right,
there aren't going to be like gross or mean or naughty situations that I
right,
find myself in that then I'd have some self-consciousness about that.
right.
Uh, I consulted, interestingly, some years back with another therapist. We have a few people who are in private practice, who are therapists across the country, who are in community theater at some level. And we
Mhm.
often will consult with each other when we have situations we have questions about.
Mhm.
This woman had been offered this amazing role with a children's theater, but the role was a witch,
Mhm.
and like really scary witch, and her primary work is early childhood work. And at the end of the session of consultation, peer consultation, she concluded she could not take the role,
Mhm.
that the risk was too great, that a young client of hers would see her and be really upset and frightened.
Mhm.
There aren't going to be situations like that in a comedy sports show.
Mhm.
So I'm grateful about that. I'm grateful that most of it is just kind of silly. Um, there's nothing that I would do in a show that I would worry about a client seeing.
Mhm. What's an example of something silly that you've done recently in a show?
Let's see. We had a scene in a couple of shows ago where, and the one of the tricks, the important things in improv, especially with short form, is you want to establish fairly quickly what's happening here, who are we, where are we, what are we doing, what sort of what's going on that's of interest. We try to start the scene in the middle of something, so it's not just, oh yeah, tomorrow we're going to go up in a hot air balloon, and then
Mhm.
scene is half done before we ever get to the balloon. That's not
Mhm.
very interesting. So often in a few sentences we try to establish who are we, where are we, what are we doing, why is it important. So this one scene, um, my scene partner started out with, isn't it a great day to be an elephant? So it's like, oh, great, we're elephants. And then I said something like, I've wanted to take this knitting class with you for so long. And and she said something like, well, that's what sisters do, isn't it? And so it's like, great. So we're sisters, we're elephants, and we're in the middle of a knitting class, and the scene unfolded from there.
What? Okay, well, you can't leave us hanging. What happened?
I mean, well, it's the scene itself is not the whole game. So this particular game was a game called New Choice.
Okay.
So whenever the ref blows the whistle, whatever the last thing was that we just said, we have to make a new and different choice about.
Okay.
So the ref generally lets us set up the scene without blowing the whistle, because otherwise we're going to be there all day. So
Right.
we kind of got that
You
far
got
into.
away with mid in class, and then what?
Yeah, we got to sister elephants in a knitting class, and then it was just kind of all new choices from there. Like, we were someone, she said, "Can I borrow your yarn?" Tweet, new choice. Can I borrow your coffee cup? Tweet, new choice.
Yeah.
Can I borrow that barbed wire? I'd like to knit that into my sweater. So, the scene ultimately, because there's so many new choices, and that's kind of the
Yeah.
funny part of it is
Yeah.
that we didn't get very far in terms of what actually happened in the knitting class. It just got more and more ridiculous.
Right. Does it become this sort of playfully sadistic contest with the ref? Like, because that's a lot of power to like basically say you have to change things.
Well, again, I mean, yes, and we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
The ref, the red players, the blue players, the sound, the musician, like our whole goal is a great show. So
Right.
the ref will use that power if they think it's to the benefit of the scene. They're
I
not going to use it just to screw with us because that's not in the service of the ultimate goal.
gotcha. Gotcha. So it's all in good fun. And does that require you to let go in the moment of where you thought you were going?
Yes, I mean, all of improv does
Yeah.
actually, which is, I mean, and this is circling back a little, but at the very beginning, I shared that I often tell my graduate students in therapy that improv training is some of the best training they could possibly get.
Mm,
And they say, "What? Why?" And I say, "Well, here are things that it's taught me as a therapist.
mm,
Uh, First of all, is it is not up to me where this session goes.
mm,
It has taught me co-creation.
mm,
I don't give up all power. Like it's my job as the therapist to do a little bit of steering and holding and offering and participating. But improv taught me to, first of all, go into a conversation and not be afraid of not being in charge.
mhm, mm,
Second of all, to really listen to what is being said to me
mm,
and to respond to that,
mhm,
not what I thought they were going to say, not what I wished they would say, because that would serve my agenda better,
mhm,
but to really co-create in the moment with someone.
mm,
Um, that's a hard thing for human brains to do, I think. Um, it's pretty vulnerable to not to be in the unknown with someone else.
mhm,
Um, those are some of the most useful skills.
mm. I know that there are times when I'm sitting with somebody and I'm like, I think it would be good to make this point. And it's so hard to be like, and I'm not going to because that's not why they're here. Especially because sometimes patients pull for that, right?
Yeah.
And other people pull for that. And this is a good segue to I think, get political here because fascism pulls for that. Fascism wants to make a very sharp, narrow, one size fits all part. And I'm wondering how if and how working with improv and playing with improv has helped you cope with, the rise of authoritarian stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, I certainly believe strongly, both for myself and in others that I see, that the skills required to resist that and to be comfortable in the absence of conformity, subservience to authority, routine, rigidity, right? Like there definitely I can own are some parts of me that find those things not necessarily in particular flavors, but I find some comfort in routine.
Mhm.
I find some comfort in knowing what to expect. I find some comfort in knowing exactly where this is going to go and that everyone's going to do exactly what we want them to or wish they would. Like those things are tempting in many ways. They feel easy in
Mm,
many ways. Improv really demands that I get comfortable doing something very different, and
mm,
that is co-creating. That is being in the unknown, being in the unplanned. That is trusting that it doesn't all have to come from me, that it can't all come from me. That's been a really big one. Like, that was one of my biggest fears early on in improv is what if I don't know what to say? What if I don't have anything?
mm,
And I had to learn that I often don't. And
mm,
this is why I'm on a team,
mm, mm,
not just my blue team, but also the red team
mhm,
and the ref and the sound person. And like, we are all a team. It doesn't work if I try to create this whole show myself.
mhm,
And I don't have to. It's actually better if I don't.
mm,
Uh, and I think even just the lightness, the silliness, the creativity that is often a part of improv, certainly comedy improv, the emotional honesty. It's often said in early classes that generally speaking, if you're trying to be funny, it's not going to be funny
mm,
in improv. The funniest thing is to set up a situation and then be in it honestly, right?
mm, mhm.
Um, what how would you honestly react if your sister started knitting barbed
Wow.
wire into the sweater that was supposed to be yours for Christmas? Like that's both a silly situation, and if we're in it honestly and being being honest about how that
Being an
feels,
honest elephant.
that's funny, as opposed to trying to think about what will be funny and do that.
Mhm. Um, have you found that this is helping you, resist being compliant?
Yes, I mean I think there are a lot of factors in in the ability to resist and the desire to resist. For sure, this helps. This direct experience of, first of all, a group of people that is very invested in co-creation, in trust, in vulnerability, in coming together in a way that is inclusive and welcoming and never punches down.
Hmm.
Um, it- the belief that that is powerful and important, and maybe even the way that things should work. Um, that's huge. And this community shows up for one another in a whole lot of ways, which give me hope. Um, yeah.
It's so I think I know you well enough from my experience of you to say that you are very solid as a clinician, and you in our graduate program together, you were really one of the folks that was always kind of going towards excellence and doing more, and perhaps prone to perfectionism. I'm not going to put that on you, but I identify that
I'll
way. Like,
take it. I'll
I'll
take
say,
it.
it's like this seems like it is, and this is the second time this week I've been talking with someone about this, that we get rewarded for some of these coping and masking and perfectionist things in our jobs. Um, and to be kind of messy or loose or silly or sloppy, or open-ended, I think it goes against the grain for a lot of us.
I think it's certainly true of me. I believe you when you say it's true of you. Um, and and I don't know that it works well. I mean, kind of the longer I'm in the role of therapist, the more years I spend in this profession, I feel like in some ways it's antithetical to actually excellent work.
Mhm.
That if we're rigid, if we are um, coming in with an idea of there's a right way to do this and this is what it is and this is how we're going to do it, that's not co-created.
Mhm.
And I think good therapy needs to be responsive to the person in the room.
Mhm.
Um, it's not a one size fits all. In that way, it's different than fascism also.
Mhm.
Um, it was so empowering for me to come to a point. I remember, early in my career, I would often get asked, people would come in with with a problem, let's just say, is this debilitating anxiety? Please, like, tell me how, essentially, how you're gonna fix this or help me fix this. I would have just that would have been a terrifying question for me in a first or second session because I would have felt like I had to be able to answer it.
Mhm.
And it was so liberating and also I think much more true when I got to the point where, the way I would answer it now is I don't know
Don't know.
yet.
Don't
I don't
know.
know yet.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't just leave it at that, like,
Right.
oh, like then what am I paying you for? I would be a fair response to that. But to say, I am going to need to, there are many ways to work with anxiety. Some work really well for some people, others for different people. It's going to take a little while for you and I to get to know, first of all, who you are and what is your particular flavor of anxiety. What have you tried? What's worked well? What hasn't? We're going to plot this course together
Mhm.
in a way that hopefully is going to be useful for you.
Mhm.
But I don't know what that is yet
Mhm.
and feel totally comfortable saying that.
It is really liberating to be able to say I don't know to a patient. It's one of my favorites. My second favorite is give me a minute to think about this.
Yes.
Because I used to think I had to have like the answer, right? Like in that moment.
Yes.
And what are we modeling? That we have to
Yes.
have all the answers and they need to be there that quick.
Yes.
I
And
can see,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just going to say another one that I've really liked is a little bit of transparency. If I've got a question in my head, like, boy, should we go this way or should we go this way?
Yeah.
Or boy, I wonder if it would be useful to maybe focus on this for a sec. To put that question out there,
Yeah.
to just transparently say, I've got a little thing going around in my head right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I could imagine part of me wants to leap into problem solving with what you just shared.
Mhm.
Another part of me wonders if, like, no, maybe it's a little soon for that. Does it feel more important to just kind of sit with it, explore it a little more? Do
Yeah.
you have a sense of what feels resonant to you? And boy, that was freeing too.
Yeah. I call that the choose your own adventure.
Yes, I love
Like,
it.
hey, and I can see where it comes from improv. So I know I've had you for a while here, and I do want to let you get off to the rest of your evening, but I have been asking folks in the podcast to see, and I know advice is it's always tricky asking therapists to give advice because we are so trained not to give advice. But having said that, what advice would you give listeners who want to cultivate some sort of playful, subversive thing in their own lives, but feel either stuck or guilty or unsure about what to do or how?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I feel like the stuck and the guilty, they're perhaps different roadblocks,
Mhm.
right? In terms of the stuck, like I'd like to do something that feels fun, but I don't know what that would be. Um, I think one suggestion would be, are there any times in that person's life at present when they feel a sense of fun?
Mhm.
Uh, they lose track of time in a way that is absorbing. To sort of mine, are those feelings that they'd like to have more of present in any way already? And if so, when? And are there ways you could blow up that balloon? Like are there ways to do more of that? If there isn't anything like that, then I think it's more a matter of just trying some things.
Mhm.
maybe talking to friends. This is a great, I actually find this a great question to ask at parties is like, instead of, so what do you do for work? It's like, so what's the most fun thing that you do?
Mm.
Or do you have a way that you play? Is a great, I mean, people like it's such a more fun question to
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
And it also really tells you something, I think, about people, the way they answer that. So, ask friends, ask
Yeah.
family members, like, what do you do for really for fun? What's
Mm.
fun? And see if anything gets sparked. The guilt is a different thing, I think. And I mean, there's really good stuff out there right now about, I mean, to me, play is self-care.
Mhm.
And I mean, you can Google, the importance of self-care and even, self-care and guilt and get all kinds of research and articles. And I did actually pull an Audre Lorde quote for this one, which I don't know by heart. So it's the only thing I'm going to read from the page. But
Okay.
she was talking about, and in particular, she was addressing marginalized communities. But I think to some extent this is true. Self-care is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation.
Mm.
That is an act of political warfare.
Mm. No, that's powerful. That's really good to be reminded of that. And what you just said when we were talking about getting stuck. Um, Anyone that's listening to this podcast, I would love to give you some homework. Ask one person that you know in your life that you feel that you trust. What do you do for fun? How do you have fun? Because I think we don't ask each other that enough. I think your anecdote is absolutely on target. We all talk about what we do for work, but nobody talks about what we do for play. And so we inadvertently teach ourselves that that's not something to be curious about. And then so many people end up feeling depressed and don't know what to. I kind of talk with patients about sampling. Maybe you want to sample a couple of things. Try the oboe. Maybe if you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But in order to know what you could sample, how do you put it out there? Sort of like I don't know if this is ever your experience, but my experience when I was a single person, one of the things that I was told is you need to let people know that you're on the market for meeting people. You need to let people know you're on the market for play,
For
right?
fun and play.
For
Yeah.
fun and play, right? It's like, hey, I just want you to tell your friends that I'm in the market to find new ways to play or have fun. And so if you are listening to this podcast, I don't give people homework or a home play as we call it, but I'm going to really encourage you because this has come up several times in the past few episodes. Be brave. Ask people what they do for fun. Say, I'm learning about my options to have fun. And as odd as that sounds, I guarantee you will get some great conversations.
Yes. Agreed. I like that home play.
Now, Kat has done this not for fun and for free, but one of the things we ask our guests to do is to come on here and to give us a nonprofit so that if you want to, in some way, recognize and appreciate the labor that Kat did today, you can do that. And Kat, you have chosen something called Pair, and I'm wondering if you could take a minute to maybe talk a little about it.
Yeah, PAIR is located here in Portland, Oregon. This is an organization that's been around for decades. They are really solid. They serve homeless youth or youth experiencing homelessness between the ages of 15 and 24, with a number of core programs. You can see the list here: education, art, recreation, and job training. They have offerings in all of those areas. And Pear has always really been particularly rich in its artistic support and offerings for these young people, including what I believe is the largest art gallery for youth artists experiencing homelessness, where
Mm.
if they've created art as part of the pair programs, there it is. They can display it in the gallery. All
Wow.
of that artwork is for sale, and the young artists keep 90% of the proceeds
Mm.
of the art that is sold through Pair Gallery. And there are just some beautiful, beautiful pieces there.
Mm.
Uh, Homelessness is certainly a rising problem around the country, particularly in blue cities. Portland has struggled a great deal with this, continues to. PAIR is a really fantastic program supporting young people who are in the middle of this experience and hoping to give them some tools, skills, and support that will help them move forward. And I always like to try and throw support their way.
I am so glad you brought this to our attention. One of the things that I think we miss in the current day and age is we tend to think of poverty, or housing insecurity as equivalent to squalor, and that you can't be poor or housing insecure and create beautiful things or be creative or have fun, that it needs to be something dire or that you're working at a very specific, regimented, again, fascistic sort of job. And just scrolling through that, I saw, some real interesting things about nurturing creatives. Like, surprise, surprise, folks that are housing insecure could be creatives. Maybe they need that sort of
Yeah.
support. So thank you, Kat. Folks, I will at the end of the podcast have a link so that you can check it out. I mean, obviously, if you're in Portland, go visit. It looks like there's a gallery people can visit,
Yes.
but you can look online as well and support it.
And if
Um,
you live in the Portland area, PAIR very often is seeking volunteers to help with all different programs that they offer. That is a great experience too. If you have any interest, I would encourage you to go to the PAIR website, and there's a link for people who are interested in volunteering.
that is great. And a very good reminder that we can donate more than our money. We can donate our time.
Yes.
Kat, it was lovely to see you again. Thank you for your generosity with our time and giving us more insight into the world of improvisational comedy and improv sports. Um, I hope that you may come back soon and talk about some other things. Thank you very much.
Would love it. Thanks for having me.